there, I'm Margie Remmers-Davis, founder and CEO of Acadian Accounting Education, and this is a clip from one of our free Class Friday sessions. Stick around to the end and I'll share with you how you can join us live, absolutely free, every week. Now let's jump in. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to load the sample company. All of our practice goes to all of our practice is in the sample company. Now, previously there were 3 versions of the sample company. There was the accountant version, and 2 client-side versions. They no longer have an accountant version of the sample company. They only have the client versions, okay? So in the past, we gave you acadian.com/QBOA to get to the sample company. You can still use that, but it will be a client-side version, okay? Or you can we're now putting it just right in the exercise. And this is actually going to go to, a QBO Plus version of the sample company. Okay, so I'm going to click there. I hope I'm not a robot. Maybe I am. I don't know. If you prick me, I bleed. So I think that means that I'm a real human. All right, and here is our new beautiful sample company updated to the latest version. But let me check. Still not, I don't think the bank feeds. Maybe, we'll see. No. The bank feeds are still old. So if you go to this page, it'll say try new banking page, but you can't actually opt in. You'll do it and then it'll say, okay, it'll take 3 or 4 days for us to get set up. So you can't actually do it. All right. So let me go back to the main screen, which is the dashboard. Okay, so I've got my sample company loaded and I'm going to follow my instructions. Okay, so here it is. In some of our exercises, you'll see that it says scenario up at the top. That's when you're doing, those are our one-off exercises to learn a particular feature. This, you'll notice it says assignment because this is part of Fast Track. And by the way, nobody has asked this question, but even if you have done this exercise before in Fast Track, you'll get credit for it again if you do it in the exercise of the week. So even though it's the same exercise, we have it in 2 separate locations, and you're going to get credit for it both times. Okay. All right. So this is a continuation of, stuff that we've talked about. So now we're going to apply a check payment from Cookies by Kathy. Okay. So we received a check. We have to now apply it to the invoice. Okay. Because it's a 2-step process. And then we're going to actually deposit in the bank. Okay. And we're going to see how all of this is. Joel asked the question because no one else did. Thank you, darling. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. So the first thing we have to do is when we receive a payment, so second part of a 2-step process, when we receive a payment, the first thing we have to do is we have to find the invoice that payment applies to. In QuickBooks Online, there are many, many ways to do that. But we're gonna do that a different way. Okay, so in a previous exercise, we used the plus create button and clicked receive payment. There are other ways we could do it. So in this situation, we're gonna use the sales, what do they call it now? The sales, not agent, sales app. They now renamed it used to be, they were called centers. Now they're called apps. So we're going to use the sales app and we're going to go to the invoices section. Now, to save myself from having to flip back and forth between the exercise and the sample company, I'm going to use a little scribe tool. All of our exercises are created using a software called Scribe. And Scribe provides a Chrome extension. So if you're using Google Chrome, you can go to the Google Chrome store. So if you click your little puzzle piece and you go to Manage Extensions, then you will get to this right here. Okay, go to Manage Extensions and then go to the the Chrome Web Store, and you're going to search for this thing called Scribe AI Documentation, SOPs, and Screenshots. Okay, so when you add that to your Google Chrome and you're using one of our exercises, okay, if you have it loaded, when you move your cursor over, you see this little Star Trek badge. Okay, it's only on the white boxes. Okay, so notice this is a green box right here. Sometimes we have red boxes or they look pink in our the exercises. You don't see it there. And your cursor has to be on the white one, and you have to have the Google Chrome extension, active, and you have the sample company open. Then when you click this, okay, magic happens, and it puts the sample company and the exercise right next to each other, so you don't have to go back and forth. Okay. Yes, it only works on Google Chrome. It does work on Brave. If you're using Brave browser, they support all Google extensions, but yeah. And Gabriel, says, love the Scribe extension, works great not only for the exercise of the week, but also for the courses. Awesome. Okay, when you first do that, it's going to automatically be on what we call, it's on Guide Me mode, okay? Guide Me mode shows you one step, and then you have to click like the next or previous, but I don't really like that. I prefer to have Guide Me off, so I'm going to click this. You can always turn it back on if you want. And then I'm going to click it. Yeah. I don't know why it's automatically on. Like, why can't we turn it off? So anyway, all right. So now by turning Guide Me off, now I can just scroll through the exercise, which I prefer. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to it's not the sales center anymore. It's the sales app. Okay, and I'm gonna hover over sales, and I'm gonna select invoices right here. Remember, what we're doing is we are looking for the invoice. If I received the payment, this is one of the nice things about like automatic digital payments, is that it will connect to the correct invoice automatically. You don't have to do this. Okay, this manual process that we're talking about is really only for cash and checks. It could also be if you received a digital payment that wasn't connected to QBO, but hopefully if you're receiving digital payments, they have like some kind of an app that will connect them. Okay. All right. So I've got all sorts of pop-ups. Okay. And we hate them. So we're going to click them. They change all of the time. So, Lindsay, this is another thing I wanted to have on our list is I think we should just have like for every exercise, like something at the top that says the exercise doesn't include pop-ups. If you see pop-ups, like close them, because we can't because the pop-ups change all the time. So like we don't want to have like close the pop-up like every time. All right. So, so I'm also going to close this, little thing. By the way, at Intuit Connect, not at Intuit Connect, at Reframe, Hector showed us another Google Chrome extension that you can use to get rid of this. This used to be called the left nav bar. Now it's called the rail. Or I guess they call it the rail because you can't get rid of it. You can't, like, see how I can open this up like this? I can open it and I can close it. But this part down here, like, will never, it's always there. And if it takes up it takes up screen real estate. So Hector showed us, there's a different Google Chrome extension that you have to download, but it was pretty cool. All right. I'm going to look into it. All right. So we've done this. Okay. So now what we're doing is we're finding the invoice from Cookies by Kathy. That was the thing. So here it is, this one right here. And you'll notice that Intuit gives us a little, we can just receive the payment right here. We can just click that. Okay, so that was step 2. Okay. All right. So, so to close, let's close pop-up. Okay, so this right here is a new, it's a new thing that I love it so much. I love it so much. I don't know if you guys know, but I am a co-host on the Unofficial QuickBooks Accountants podcast with Alicia Katz-Pollock. And we just talked about this feature in the last episode that I recorded. And that, I just love this so much because now, so you can say record. So if you are recording the payment, it's just so much more clear than it was before. Or you can charge the payment if you have QuickBooks Payments, which is like, this interface is so nice. All right, that we got a check, and so we're recording the check. Okay, so when did you receive it? We're going to just say we received it today, so we're going to leave that blank. We're going to say the reference number. This is like, so if we got a check, then we would want to put the check number on there. So we'll say that was the check number. You can say the payment method, like what it was. You could, I don't have this in the exercise. You could say that it was a check. It's probably a good idea. We don't have that in the exercise, but the payment method is more important when you are paying things than it is when you're receiving money. But I guess check, actually, let me correct myself on that. If you're receiving a cash or check, it is really, like, you should say that I got a check or I got cash. So we should add that to the exercise, Lindsay. Okay. All right. So deposit to, okay, remember I said about undeposited funds, it's that temporary clearing account. Where is, really? Oh yeah, I skipped it. Okay, I skipped it, sorry. In the payment method field, select check. I skipped reference number field 789. Sorry about that. Okay, so where is the money going to? If it's a check or cash, it should go to that temporary holding place, that envelope or that drawer, that money bag, okay? The place where you hold on to that stuff before you take it to the bank, okay? So that's where it's going. It was $75. And then you have to, because we selected that invoice, it automatically knows that it is applying it to this invoice, okay? And luckily the invoice is $75, and so the payment is being applied, that's $75, so it's all good to go, and we are gonna hit record. Let's see, I don't wanna get ahead of myself. We don't wanna hit record and close, we wanna hit record because we're gonna look at the transaction journal. Now, all right, this was where I was going to insert my debits and credits lesson, but given the time, I'm not going to do that. So let's just talk for a moment about debits and credits. Okay, so let's talk about while it was an invoice. Okay, so while it wasn't when it was an invoice, we had the sales income and then the revenue, because if you're accrual, it's considered revenue even though you don't have the money yet, okay? So you've got the sales income, and then what is the account that it goes to? The money's not in the bank yet. So what is the name of the account that it goes to since it's not in the bank? I'll give you a second exercise. Kim, excellent. Accounts receivable, okay? So while it's an invoice, it is there's sales income, which is revenue, was increased. Angela, good job. Accounts receivable. So what kind of account is accounts receivable? It's an asset account. Keela, good. Kim, excellent. Lynette, oh, excellent. So accounts receivable is an asset account, okay? So that means it lives where? Where does it naturally, what side of the equation of debits and credits, of our seesaw, those of you who've been through the training, what side does it normally live on? Okay, right. It lives on the left side, so it's the debit side, okay? So when it increased, okay, so when the money was added to it with the invoice, okay, it stayed on the left-hand side. So what should we expect? So we're going to look at the transaction journal of this. Now we got the money, so now it's moving out of accounts receivable and into our undeposited funds account, okay? So where should we see the accounts receivable when we look at the transaction journal? We're going to see $75, and Lillian's got it right here. We're going to see it. We should see a credit side. Good job, guys. Christy, Joanne, Carmen, all of you guys. Okay, so we're going to see, we should see accounts receivable, a credit to accounts receivable. So now it's on the right-hand side. And then a debit to what? Because you have to have both. So what will we see debited when we look at the transaction journal? Oh, some mixed answers here. The answer is undeposited funds, okay? Because it hasn't gone into the bank yet, okay? So it hasn't gone, so we're going to see undeposited funds, what kind of an account is undeposited funds? I said it was a clearing account, but that's not, there's only 5 types of accounts, right? Income, expense, asset, liabilities, and equity. So of those 5, what is undeposited funds? What kind of an account is undeposited funds? Good job. It's an asset account. Undeposited funds is an asset account, which means it lives on the left-hand side, which means that when it increases, it stays to the left. Accounts receivable is also an asset account, but now it's decreasing. We're taking money out of it. Okay, so wait a minute. Did I just mess that up? Okay, so we've got, let's see what we're expecting to see. We're expecting to see money coming out of accounts receivable. Yeah, I was correct. Yeah. So let's see. All right, let's see. All right, good job. Can the account be named deposit in transit? Yes, it can. In fact, some accounts, some QBO accounts will call it payments to deposit. Okay. All right, so here we go. So now we're going to take a look at, we're going to click the More button. Once we clicked record to save it, I did do that, right? Okay, and now we're going to click More, and then we're going to click the transaction journal. So here we are in this step right here. Okay, so we should see, there we go. Okay, so undeposited funds, it's our asset, increased, so it increases because it's an asset, it increases on the debit side. And accounts receivable, there's less in accounts receivable right now, so that means it was added to the right-hand side of our seesaw, okay? Now, these are both asset accounts. So they're both of these are we're going to see reflected on what report? Balance sheet. Good job. All right, so I cheated a little bit because the answer was right here. So we're going to check the balance sheet. Okay, so we're going to go to reports right here, and we're going to click standard reports. Good job, guys. All right, and we're going to click balance sheet. That was step 8. Okay, and we're going to close these pop-ups. And this right here, by the way, this little thing that popped up, these are AI insights. Okay, so now we have with this was the purpose of the new interface, is that now you have all these little AI assistants all over the place that are giving you insights on the different things that you see. Okay, so it looked at the balance sheet and it said, hey, this happened over this period of time, this happened over this period of time. Okay, but we don't want to worry about that right now. Okay, so I'm just going to close that. Okay, so here we are. So we should see the undeposited funds increase. So if I click this, in case you're brand new and you don't know, in QuickBooks Online, you can click any number and it will show you what transactions are included in that number. Let me make sure the date range is right. Okay, good. So I'm going to click undeposited funds. I'm going to click, there we go. And it will tell me what was included in that number. And if I go here, here is that Cookies by Kathy payment, accounts receivable. Okay, so that is $75 that was added to, it was $75 that was added to the undeposited funds account. Okay. So now we can see the opposite when we go to the accounts receivable line. Hello. Back to summary report. Okay, so if I go to accounts receivable, I should see the opposite of that. So if I click there. Oh, and the exercise, I did it the other way. Sorry. Got ahead of myself. So here's that last one. Okay, so now we took money out of this account. We took money out of accounts receivable, so it was subtracted. Okay, and here's the other account that balances it. Okay, all right. So now we did all of these steps. Okay, all right. So now let's make a deposit to the bank. Okay, and let's predict. We don't have this in the account, but let's predict what's going to happen. Okay, so we took the money out of the accounts receivable account and we put it, so it was minus $75 here, and it was added $75 here to undeposited funds. What do you think is going to happen when we deposit the money into the bank? How is the balance sheet going to be affected? This is the benefit of becoming to these things live, because then we get this back and forth. All right, let's see. We're going to credit undeposited funds and debit the bank account. Credit undeposited funds with, yes. You guys are using more, you guys are using more accountant speak than I was expecting. Okay, Christy, undeposited funds will decrease, checking will increase. That's what I was looking for, okay? You guys were all right, but you were just using accountant speak. So yeah, so now once we do this deposit, the money is going to move out of undeposited funds and it's going to move into whatever account we select. So it's going to be checking account, okay? All right, so don't forget, undeposited funds is a temporary holding account. Once the money has been physically deposited into the bank, we need to create a bank deposit transaction to move it out of undeposited funds. We will assume Craig deposited the check from Kathy as well as others sitting in undeposited funds at the same time. The total of all of those individual checks included in this one deposit is what you will see on the bank feed. I already made that clear. Carl says net zero, however, cash increases, which is exactly right. Okay. All right. So sometimes, I don't know why this is happening. Sometimes Scribe has been having a hard time loading the images. So to fix that, you just right click and then select reload frame, and that will go back to it. Okay. All right, check the balance sheet. We did all of that. So now we're going to make the deposit. Okay. So we're going to hover over the little create plus button. We're going to select bank deposit. Okay, so now, here's that Cookies by Kathy check, okay, for $75. So we're going to include that for sure. But we also said, well, he's also going to deposit these older things that he received. So if I click the button up above, it'll check both of them. And the total of those three, payments is $2,137.52. So this is the amount that we're going to see at the bank, okay? We're going to see that amount on the bank. That's what we're going to, when we do our reconciliation, that's the one that we're going to check, okay? All right, and, oh, I just pointed that out, okay? So we're going to have to, in order to look at the transaction journal, we're going to have to come back into it. So we're going to hit this little green arrow button. We're going to hit save and close. And then we have to go find that bank deposit. So the easiest way to do that is to go to the chart of accounts. So I'm going to click the gear icon, go to chart of accounts. And we've got this annoying thing again. Okay, so here is on the checking account. We're going to click view register. Again, we've got pop-ups all over the place. They're so annoying. Right, so here is the deposit we just made. Okay, so let's look at that deposit. Click anywhere on the line for the deposit, and then we're going to click edit. Okay, so this is the screen we were just on, okay? Unfortunately, there might be actually an easier way to get back to it if we do like maybe audit history or go back to the last one. I don't know. There's so many things. So here we see this is exactly the page we were just on. We see these three payments total added, this is what was deposited. Now we want to look at our transaction journal. We're going to click more. You guys already know. You already know before we look at this, right? You already know that you're going to see money coming out of undeposited funds. Undeposited funds is an asset. So when we take money out of it, we do a credit, okay? And then we're going to see it was deposited into the checking account. Hopefully I remember checking, yeah. The checking account, we added money to the checking account. It's an asset, so it lives on the left-hand side. That's the debit side, so we're going to add money. That's what we should see, right? So I click more, go to the transaction journal. And here we have the debit is the total amount, right? The total amount. Checking is an asset. It lives on the left-hand side, so that's why I added more there. The rest of it, these are all the individual ones that were on the, and they took money out of it. This is also an asset, but we took money out of it, so it's going to go on the credit side, and you can see that it balances right there. And then the last thing we need to look at is that balance sheet. So we're going to go back to reports. We're going to go to that balance sheet. And of course, we already know. Look at the checking increase. We don't have any exercise clicking on it, but we could go ahead and do that. Click it. And then you can see here's the deposit right there that we just added. But the most important thing is undeposited funds. Look, undeposited funds is now 0 because we took all of the stuff that was in undeposited funds and we put it in the checking account, okay? So Carl said earlier, net zero, however, cash increases. So now we have that money actually in the bank. It just went from one place to the other. That's all it did. It was in the envelope. Now it's in the bank. But we still have the money, so it's still like an asset. It's still, good for the business. Danae says, it seems straightforward. It does seem straightforward, doesn't it? And yet, it's shocking how many people don't get it right. This class comes from our free Facebook group, the QBO Gym Locker Room. Inside, you'll get access to a free QBO QuickStart course, over 100 hands-on exercises, weekly marketing tips, monthly drawings, and more. The link is below. Join us today. We'd love to see you there.